Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wrestling Rants and Reviews. This is episode 36. That's right, it's episode 36, and in my last episode, I told you I would talk about the Hall of Fame for this year for the WWE, and, well, let's get to it. This year's inductees, I'll go from worst to best, I guess, and then I'll explain a little about them. So this year we have Drew Carey being inducted by Bob Barker. I'll go on, as I say them, I'll say a little piece about them, I guess. Drew Carey. I know WWE has a celebrity wing where they have, like, Refrigerator Perry, Pete Rose, Bob Uecker, who else do they got? I'm not sure. Maybe that's it for now. But right now, this year, they're going to induct Drew Carey. Now, I really don't know why they want to induct Drew Carey when they could maybe induct someone like Ozzy Osbourne, who was at WrestleMania 3, or someone, I don't know, Aretha Franklin. She sang at 2 WrestleManias. I just don't understand Drew Carey. He was at 1 Royal Rumble, and he threw himself out. Now, Pete Rose, he appeared at a couple, but he had altercations with Kane, and he was on more than one. Drew Carey was maybe on an episode of SmackDown in the past, but big deal. You know, he was no significance to the WWE. I just don't think he should be there. I think they should have given someone else, like I said, Aretha Franklin, who's been there at 2 WrestleManias. Singing America the Beautiful, or maybe even Donald Trump, who was, the main man in orchestrating being at in Atlantic City 2 years in a row. We only placed to host WrestleMania 2 years in a row. Then he was there at WrestleMania 23, shaving Vince's head. And he's buddies of Vince, so why not put him in there? Moving on to the next, Bullet Bob Armstrong. Alright, let's put him in there, I guess. I think because they're in Atlanta, they're trying to go back to the nostalgia era where, people from that territory should be inducted. And maybe we'll talk about that in a couple minutes, too. Who really from that area and that era of wrestling in Atlanta should be inducted. But he's going to be inducted by his sons, Scott and Brad, I'm sure. Abdullah the Butcher's next. He's going to be inducted by Terry Funk. Abdullah is rightfully deserving of it, I believe. He's one of those madmen from back in the day who tore it up. He was hardcore before hardcore. Again, he's just from the area, so he's filling the spot of being in the area. But he's definitely well deserving. I can't say much about Abdullah other than that he's crazy. And then he's still going for being like 112. He's not going on a regular basis, but he's still going out and cutting himself up and being a hardcore guy. So Terry Funk can definitely relate to that. And I'm sure Terry Funk being there, he may get a one more match chant as well. And who knows, maybe it'll be against Abdullah the Butcher. Then we got Hacksaw Jim Duggan being inducted by the $1 Million Man. Hacksaw rightfully deserves it. I don't know if this year should be the year, but he definitely paid his dues in WWE, WCW. He battled cancer. He was always one of the more over, I guess you could say, jobbers. He wasn't even really a mid-carder. He was a jobber. He was better than Barry Horowitz. I know that much. But what did he do? He was king. I think he was the King Hacksaw once, with a little feud with Haku. But he was an icon, I guess. People paid tribute to him all the time because he was the American hero. 2x4 in one hand, American flag in the other. He was definitely everybody's hero. We got Sunny. Her inductor is to be announced, or maybe I just don't know right now. Sunny is well past deserving of this. I think maybe she should have been inducted a long time ago. I know Chris Candido's looking down on her and probably proud as hell. Sunny deserves it. It'll be good to hear from her and see what she's got to say, what her speech will be all about. She's still out doing her thing too, so that's cool. But Sunny, she paved the way for all these divas. Some may say it's a good thing, some may say it's a bad thing, like depending on what divas you look at. But she definitely paved her way, because before her there was Baby Doll and Missy Hyatt and maybe Miss Elizabeth, but they did not do some of the things that Sunny had done. Next we got the Road Warriors and Paul Ellering, one of my favorite tag teams, not the favorite, but Paul Ellering, one of my favorite managers, that's for sure. And they're going to be inducted by Dusty Rhodes. I think this is a good fit. This is a good year. That's being from Atlanta. They had a good time down in that territory, as well as WCW. So they should be accepted for sure. I think that's a good fit. And HBK, Shawn Michaels, is headlining the Hall of Fame. And I just found out just now as I started this episode that he's going to be inducted by Triple H. I kind of expected that, but at the same time, I don't know who I expected. But it's good to see that Triple H is going to induct him. There's going to be a lot of tears and cheers for that. I have nothing against HBK, but I don't think this year should be his year. I honestly think he should be at least out 3 years or 4 years, or dead. I definitely don't think he should be active, but he's not active, so that's good. But yeah, this year shouldn't have been his year. He's well deserving though. Next year would have been great. I don't think they're gonna wait till they went back to Texas. That's why they rushed it, because they don't know when they're going to be back in Texas. So, they like to do territories along with, the people being inducted. So, so when they come to Canada next, maybe Trish will be inducted, or Ron Hutchinson, or whoever the Mountie, or Owen, maybe. That'd be great, because they like to do it to, like I said, territories. People that are inducted are in that area, like Stone Cold was in Texas, et cetera, et cetera. But that's why I think some of them are deserving and some of them aren't. Is it a good class? And a lot of people saying this isn't a good class. They're saying, oh, it's one of the weakest classes ever. I think so, maybe just because of Drew Carey, but I have here on the trusted computer in front of me, I'm going to go back as far as 2005. 5 was a strong class. It was a very, very strong class, because you had Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, Cowboy Bob Orton, Jimmy Hart, Mr. Wonderful, Nikolai Volkov, and the Iron Sheik. Now, I'd have to say that's probably the best class, unless I go back and look more, to 2004. But 2005 was probably one of the strongest classes ever, and it kind of spoiled us. But you look at that after and go on to 2006, you got Bret Hart and Eddie Guerrero. Those two definitely led the way. For that, then you had Mean Gene, Sensational Cherry, Vern Gagne, and Tony Atlas, and Refrigerator Perry. It's not the strongest class, but it's headlined by 2 major players, Eddie Guerrero and Bret Hart. So yeah, just again, not as strong as everybody thinks. 2007, you got Dusty Rhodes, Mr. Perfect, Lawler, Jim Ross, Mr. Fuji, the Sheik, the original Sheik, and Nick Bockwinkel. Pretty strong, just because you got Dusty, and Mr. Perfect, and then you got the announce team of Lawler and Jim Ross. However, with the exception of Lawler and Ross, because they're still active, it's just mediocre. Because you got Mr. Fuji, you got the Sheik, Nick Bockwinkel, but it, I don't know, it was alright, I guess. It wasn't terrible. I think it might be a little better than this year's. But this year's isn't as bad as people think. 2008, obviously Ric Flair. And then the Maivia, Rock Johnson. Mae Young, Eddie Graham, Gordon Soley. It sounds strong just because there's Ric Flair, obviously, and then The Rock was there. But other than Ric Flair, and I guess Mae Young, maybe, the rest of them are no better than what we got this year. Bob is probably just as good as Eddie Graham. Gordon Soley is probably just as good as Drew Carey. Gordon Soley deserves it, obviously, because he's, was the voice of wrestling for so many years and did a great job, but what could he do? He deserves a spot, so he got it. So, 2009 is a good year. You got Stone Cold and Steamboat, two of my all-time favorites, so that's huge for me. But the rest was Bill Watts, Coco Beware, and Howard Finkel. You get the good with the bad. So, and then last year we had $1 Million Man, Antonio Inoki, Wendy Richter, Mad Dog Vachon, Gorgeous George, Stu Hart, and Bob Uecker. Stu Hart obviously being the biggest name, or Ted DiBiase. And then the rest were, there you go, mid-card or people that are no better than what we got. I think we got top 3 Sunny, Road Warriors, and HBK. And each year has their top 3. Let's see, 2010 would have been Stu Hart, $1 Million Man, and Wendy Richter, maybe. So, anyways, I think this year is not as bad as it would have been. I was going to go on and say who I think would be more deserving because of where they are in Atlanta. But I'm already looking at about 12 minutes of time, so I think I would rant more and be over my 15. But let me just do it quickly. No, I can't. I can't do nothing quickly. If you want to know, inbox me and I'll tell you, or comment and I'll tell you, or tell me who you think should be there and who shouldn't be there. And definitely stay tuned for more episodes. I'm going to give you my Mania predictions and talk a little about Tough Enough before Monday. And then obviously we're going to have a SmackDown and TNA review yet, and a WrestleMania review. So it's going to be a busy week for me. It's going to be like 2 or 3 videos a day until who knows. So stay tuned. Thanks for checking me out. Again, please subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment, like or dislike. Check out the email, as always. And speaking as always, I am Big Mike. And I am with Wrestling Rants and Reviews. Have a good one.